Working as a mental health clinician, we're taught to always meet a client where they're at. That often looks like meeting them where they're at with their emotional needs, breaking down any barriers to treatment. Maybe it's a physical location, maybe it's their readiness to receive treatment. Oftentimes, what we see with students in schools is that they don't have access to quality mental health care. So bringing it to them is quite literally meeting a student where they are at and breaking down those barriers by being there for them. My name is Maria Clemente, and I am the CEO and founder of Reimagined. Trauma is something that very deeply affects the psychology of the human mind. Reimagining mental health treatment looks like rethinking the bounds of human connection. So when we combine concepts such as neuroscience, empathy, mindfulness, and psychology, we can offer something to clients or to students that can really help combine the pieces of the mind that have become fragmented because of traumatic experiences.
What we often see with children who have experienced significant trauma is problematic behaviors. In the classroom, that might look like a kid being a bad kid or engaging in bad behaviors. But what we now know is those behaviors are a result of the trauma. And what we can do is implement trauma-informed care to understand those symptoms, understand those behaviors, help teachers understand those behaviors so that they're not responded to as if they are random or they're just happening for no reason. There's a reason those behaviors are happening. And once we start to have that understanding and help children understand that these are happening for a reason, they can display better learning behaviors, better emotion regulation, and impulse control. It's well understood and researched that this type of trauma-informed care can resolve those negative effects trauma has on the brain.
Reimagined has a trauma-informed education approach, and the goal of this program is to be able to bring systemic change to not only students' mental health, but the culture of a school community.
A holistic approach to treatment is really important because our sense of self is so deeply rooted in our connection to our body. When we can not only recognize, but start to interpret the messages that our body is sending us, it can really help us better regulate our emotions. That goes for all of us, the students, the adults in the school. When we can listen to our bodies, understand why we get hot in certain situations, what happens to us when we get hungry, how can we address tightness that comes up in our muscles during a stressful situation. That's really opening the door to some avenues to create change for these students, ways that they can talk themselves through experiences that they're having that might be uncomfortable and what behaviors those lead to.
Research has shown that trauma has a significant effect on the brain, especially in children and adolescents. What that looks like in the classroom or in real life is significant problem behaviors, emotion dysregulation, trouble focusing. And what we now know about how to treat those effects on the brain is evidence-based practices, including trauma-informed care. So when we're able to use the evidence-based practices with children, we can actually undo those effects, and we can retrain the brain to respond in a healthy manner to stimuli, to a learning environment. And it's important to implement those things as early as possible, as young as possible, and in a comprehensive way.
There would be 4 main components that a staff member of the school would notice about this program. The first would be consultative services for mental health and wellness protocols. The second would be professional development opportunities for learning experiences. The third is a staff wellness program. And the fourth would be the clinical mental health services that we're offering to the highest need students. The connection between our staff of the program and the school staff is the cornerstone of this becoming a creative and successful program for the school as a whole.
So not only are we providing services to students, but we're also providing wellness opportunities, be that maybe live workshops, some pre-recorded content, to the staff, the teachers in the school. I've found that when someone experiences the positive benefits of a mind-body connection, when they start to really feel positive impacts of increased bodily awareness, they want to share that with others, right? Anything that you find out that works, that feels good, you want to share. And so it's very likely that by giving teachers opportunities to have these experiences, they're going to want to bring that into their classrooms. They're going to want to share that with students in the ways that they know how, through lesson planning, through taking some deep breaths in a classroom, giving students opportunity to hear this kind of language, this mind-body language, not just from our own clinicians and our own staff, but from the people in their school building who they know and they trust.
Trauma has a way of fragmenting the mind that takes all these different pieces kind of apart from each other. So the mind and the body become very disconnected. And that's a very uncomfortable state of being for people to kind of live through. So when I think about how we can help the youth of this generation, I think about finding a way to connect those pieces. And when I think of what is a great tool to do that, I think of mindfulness and I think of meditation, because that helps really to bring them back together in a way that all the technology that they have, all of the social media, the isolation that they're going through, all of that brings them apart. And what we really want to do is find a way to be present with them so that we can help them learn those skills and bring it all back together. Reimagining
The relationship
between school
and mental health.